Colleen.
And I'm Caitlin. Welcome to our CrafterNoon adventures.
Good CrafterNoon makers, and welcome to part 4 of our Learn to Serge series. In today's episode, we are going to learn a few things. First, we're going to learn how to actually thread our serger, and then we will learn how to do a gathering hem, which is a ruffle, and we're also going to learn to do a rolled edged hem, which is great for, it's a great decorative stitch if you're going to make a cool little hem or napkins, cloth napkins. It's a great design for that. So first things first, we need to learn to thread the machine. So as I've said before, we have 4-thread machine and 4 spools hanging. This is the thread tree. Threads loop through this little hole here in the back. Mine is going crazy there for some reason. It's going in backwards. So the first thing you do would be to thread it through that part of the tree, and then follow the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way up to 9. It's going to go under this first guide. This lever here releases the tension so we can slip our thread through, and this is the lower looper that we're threading. Remember, the loopers are similar to what the bobbin thread would be because they come up from the bottom. The lower looper is noted by the blue numbers and lines, so we're going to follow the blue through these guides. And when we get over to this section, this little blue arrow slides out. There is a little notch in the back to slip it through. Push it back in. I'm going to trim off some of this thread. I've got way too much there. And on this lower looper right here, there's a little hole in that little lever. Sergers come with a tweezer so that we can grab the thread and pull it through, and it's going to go under the presser foot. I can get it through there, like so. Okay, so now the lower looper is threaded. Next, we're going to do the upper looper thread. So once again, it goes under number 2, passes through number 3, release the tension disc, and it's going to follow the green lines because the upper looper is noted by the green. So we'll follow those guides and thread it through this little hook-like thing. There's a little hole in it. The upper looper is a little easier to thread than the lower looper. And you can grab it with your fingers, great. Otherwise, use tweezers, and it's going to go across here. Next, we have the right needle. Again, it goes under the second guide, release the tension, and follow the guide. It goes up and around through this last thread guide, and then through the eye of the needle, which is always the hardest part. Remember to have your tweezers handy to help you pull it through. You can always wet the thread to get it in there. This is always hard when you're threading and you're not in front of it. Okay, I gotta stick my head down here. Sorry you can't see what I'm doing, but threading the needle and it's not working. Okay, there we go. Grabbed it with the tweezers that time, made it easier. Finally, the left needle. And it's going to follow the same path through the last guide. and through the eye of the needle. Trim off the edge because there's a little fuzz there. As with any machine, threading the needle is always the hardest part. Okay, and there we have it. So do you have to thread the machine this way every single time you're making something? No, you don't. There is a technique where you can tie your new color threads up above and serge it through, which makes things a lot easier. So now we need to create our chain. So I'm going to hold these to the back and start sewing the chain through. It's back there. Don't stick your fingers in it while it's running. That would be bad. But you always need to have a string at the front of your project and at the back. A serger is not like a regular sewing machine where you can just pull the thread and cut it, because there's, so much there. So you always need to leave a chain at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so now that we have our machine threaded, it's time to learn the different stitches that the serger can do. The first one we're going to start with is the gathered hem stitch. This makes a nice little ruffle to add to a skirt or the bodice of a blouse or on a sleeve of a shirt. Lots of different applications for the gathered stitch. Now we're going to do all sorts of crazy things to the machine here. The first thing we're going to need to do is to adjust the tension. The left needle needs to be at 9. The right needle is at 7, and both of our loopers are at the standard number of 4. This is going to create a tighter stitch on top so that it will make that gather. On the back side here on the side, we're going to move the differential all the way up to 2 so that it's moving the fabric through fast with very tight tension. So let's give that a go here. And like always, we will raise the presser foot and start serging. And once again, leaving that long chain at the end. And as you can see, we have a perfect ruffle. You can always adjust your ruffle by pulling it slightly. It will loosen it up if you need to tighten it. You just pull on the needle threads in the serger. So there you have a very cool ruffle made with the gathering stitch. The next stitch we're going to learn is the rolled hem stitch. It gives a super clean finish to the edge of a formal gown. If you're sewing that, it also is great if you're just learning to serge and you want to make some very nice fabric napkins. So now we're really going to do some crazy things with the machine for this stitch. One of the first things we're going to do is take out the left needle. We don't need that needle for this stitch, so we're actually only going to be using 3 threads for this machine. Now right above where the needle thread guide is, there is a little hex nut, and we're going to loosen it. That does loosen both of the needles. I always hold on to both of them so they don't both go sliding down into the machine. That would be disastrous. and try to pull one out without pulling the other one out. And this one is actually still connected to the thread, which is fine, so I won't drop it. And now I'm going to tighten this back up with my little hex key. Okay, got that out. And I need a scissors, but I don't have one, so I'm just going to break the thread and loosen the tension and pull out that for the first left needle thread. And put your needle to the side and don't lose it. Okay, so now that we've got the chain made, there's a few other adjustments we need to make. On our tension guide for the woven hem stitch, we don't need to do anything with the left needle because we don't have any thread or the left needle in there. The tensions go, the right needle is at 4, the upper looper is at 5, and the lower looper is at 7. We also need to remove the stitch key from below. There is a little yellow arrow right there, so you're good. That is the stitch key, so you're going to push this lever and it pops out. It also has its own little storage spot for safekeeping, so we don't lose that. So we'll close it up. Over here on the stitch side, we need the differential stays the same. We're going to turn the stitch width to R and the stitch length to R for rolled hem. And now we are finally ready to make our rolled hem. There is a very polished rolled hem look. Great seam finish. That was so much fun. Let's try it again. And there you have it. You've made your first rolled hem. For the next time you're looking for a very cool decorative stitch.
We hope you enjoyed today's craft. Most projects we demonstrate can be made in under an hour and require a few basic tools or supplies.
Have questions or suggestions for future videos? Use the comment section below and we'll add it to our list. Thanks for watching, and remember the Makerspace mantra.
The only limit is your imagination.